All right, we got something to talk about, and it's a trade that the collective reaction on Twitter has been, excuse me? The Knicks and the Wolves, two teams hoping to make the finals this season, have now done a trade where Karl-Anthony Towns is going to the Knicks, and the exact wording as of the time of me doing this, my bad if you watch this like a day later and it all ended up coming out. Trade package revolving donte DiVincenzo and Julius Randle going to the Wolves. Wow, this has my head spinning right now. So, from a financial standpoint, Randle, he's got 1 year left in his contract, and it's a player option. DiVincenzo, he's just a cheaper player than Cat or Randle. He's got a few years left. Cat has like 3 years plus a player option left. And, throughout this Wolves tenure, there has been like little snippets you'd hear from people saying, well, if there's ever any sort of way for the Wolves to like really, if not get at least assets back after the Gobert trade, then at least like potentially free themselves up cap-wise down the road, stuff like that. It would have been a Cat trade, but it's like, I get it. They lost to the Mavs in the conference finals. Cat was not good in that series. That said, I really did not have it on my bingo card for them to make this sort of a shakeup. And now in a few minutes, I got to talk about how he fits on the Knicks and how Julius Randle fits on the Wolves. But first, it's like, man, the playoffs, the first two series, Cat, he was better offensively. Obviously, we know that he was a key part of the Wolves defense slowing down the Nuggets. Like him on Jokic and then Gobert as the help defender. And then Jaden and Ant and Nikhil's perimeter defense on Jamal Murray. And in that game 7, just that defense led to like Jokic and Murray getting theirs. But Gordon, MPJ, everybody on the Nuggets besides the top two just couldn't score, right? And I just really did not think the Wolves were going to shift it that much, especially because shooting-wise, I mean, there's already questions about the Wolves' offense going into the season. They were like mid-tier in offense this past year, even with like Ant going up another level, we assume. Like Cat's shooting was part of the reason they were comfortable putting him and Gobert together as a front court. And now going from Cat to Randle, I mean, look, Randle, we all know that Julius Randle's contested shot making goes up and down depending on the season, we can say. The past year, he was 5 threes a game on 31%. Now, I do think Randle's like overall like shot selection, like, he toned his threes down this previous season. I think his passing went a bit underrated. I mean, he made an all-star game this year, I mean, look, Julius Randle's not as good of a shooter as Karl-Anthony Towns. Like, that's not disrespectful. That's just how it is. Now, DiVincenzo was one of the best shooters in the league this past season, and adding that type of a guy to a Wolves team that already has, Edwards and his two-man game with Gobert, which is progressing. I wouldn't say they've, like, nailed it completely yet, but it's definitely improved over these past 2 years. Like, the gravity that those two draw in, and then DiVincenzo being able to exist on that, like, yes, DiVincenzo is going to be a good fit no matter where he is. Now, they do also have Naz Reid, who we all love. A big guy who puts on a shooting guard impression a lot of the time, although sometimes he'll also get, like, soul-crushing offensive rebounds versus the Nuggets in a Game 7. I mean, look, Naz Reid's a great shooter. He can attack off the catch. There was even, like, little things this offseason about them thinking about going triple big with Cat, Naz Reid, and Gobert lineups. And so I imagine that the Wolves are telling themselves that between getting DiVincenzo's gravity on top of probably just giving Naz Reid more minutes and the fact that Randle is talented, like, they're probably saying to themselves, that's how we make up the difference with just Cat's size and his shooting. It's just quite a bit, man. As far as thinking about Randle in the Wolves offense now, I mean, well, first off, let me say, defensively, I think they should still be very good. They were the best defensive team in the league this past season. I would not expect them to have any sort of significant drop-off after this trade whatsoever. Like, they got Gobert, they got the good perimeter defenders everywhere. I think you could put Randle into that, and defensively, like, they'll still be what they are. And as far as the offense, I mean, look, when Randle's at his best to me, it's when he's screening on the ball. It's when he's running handoff actions where he's like the guy initiating the handoff. And he's able to, like, whether it's pop, so that, again, you need the 3-ball going in. He's not as good of a shooter as Cat. It just is what it is. Or he's getting, like, on the roll, like with Conley or Edwards. Like, that could certainly be part of the Wolves' offense. When the contested jumpers are going in for Randle, it feels like he's damn near unstoppable. And also, like, if a possession dies out for you and he ends up with the ball and he has to create something out of nothing, he can do that. Man, this is the type of trade where I do the video now and then I'm thinking about this for the next, like, week straight. And I'm like, oh, why didn't I say that in the video? Brain is scrambled right now. I need to think about Karl-Anthony Towns on this Knicks team. So DiVincenzo is gone. Again, was a great shooter for them. Randle, we did not get to see him in these previous playoffs, but we do know that the Randle contested shot making in the playoffs, like, it's a fair question of just, are they going to go in or not? We now get to ask that question for the Minnesota Timberwolves and now for the Knicks. So I guess for one, I suppose it's possible you could see more of, oh yeah, Tibbs is back with Karl-Anthony Towns. That one just struck me. You could see more of Cat like at typical center. Like they're not going to start the season with Mitchell Robinson. He's dealing with an injury that's going to leave him out until, what was the report, December/January. So Cat could play the 5 for them. But I do also think like he's proven that he can play the 4 and it can be good. So when Mitch eventually comes back, you could try Cat and Mitch together. You could also try Cat with Precious or Jericho Sims. We'll see what Tibbs wants to do there. I mean, defensively, Cat at center has been a mixed bag throughout his career. I mean, the Wolves, before they made the Gobert trade, they had Cat playing higher up on screens and being more aggressive because then they didn't have to ask him to be as much of a rim protector. So we'll just see how Tibbs navigates that whole thing. I'm trying to think of lineups. So unless I'm just dead wrong and Tibbs doesn't envision playing Cat at center at all, I imagine it's going to be on the table here. Cat at center can allow you to go to lineups where it's Brunson, Cat, and you can already imagine the two-man game between those two. Pick and pops are going to be like a lot between those two. You have OG and McHale, and then that opens up one more spot for, I mean, it would be Josh Harder, it would be Deuce McBride. DiVincenzo's not here anymore. And then when Mitch is eventually back, I imagine all things are on the table right now. Cat at center, Cat with Mitch. This is a wild one, man. I mean, thinking about the Brunson-Cat two-man game some more, you've got pops, you've got rolls. If there's a switch, Cat can, I'll say, hopefully score in the post. I say that because the lasting impression I've got of him is at the conference finals when he was trying to score on PJ Washington in the post and it just was not working at all. But if he's got a smaller guy on him from a switch when Brunson was the original guy, then yeah, okay, there's possibilities there. But teams have also tried putting more length on Brunson as well. So for what that means, I don't know. It's never that simple when the actual games are playing. Man, I gotta say, if you would have told me that the Knicks were going to make a move to get a center to shore up the rotation a little bit, I mean, we were all looking at Walker Kessler potentially. I think there was a little bit of like Nick Richards Hornets noise that I might have seen. Just like a decent center who could just step in, and then when Mitch comes back, you got a nice rotation, and you try a little bit of the Randle at the 5 stuff, and you make the move without really giving up any of your core dudes. Clearly not how it ended up playing out. And then for the Wolves, I still just really did not have this one on my bingo card, man. I know it's been theorized, the potential Cat trade. I just believe they weren't going to do it. Yeah, this is wild.